In this video, we continue our investigation of graphics and looking at the shapes that we have the ability to draw in ScalaFX. In particular, I want to look at the arc type. And so we'll go ahead and we're going to add another shape. It's going to be an arc. And to build the arc actually takes quite a few different arguments. So let's go look at the API to see what those are. We provide the center X and the center Y. So basically we're building the arc around an ellipse. So this is the center of the ellipse. We give it the radius in the X and the Y for the ellipse. Then we give it a start angle, so where around the ellipse you want to start, and a length for how many degrees it should span. And both the start angle and the length are in degrees in ScalaFX. So center location for the ellipse, the radii and the X and Y for the ellipse, a starting angle, and an ending angle. Where do I want this to be centered? Well, I'm going to center it. It looks like the next square over for us is an X position of 250 and a Y position of 150. I'm going to go stretched out in the X direction, so the full 40 for a radius, and then be narrower in the Y direction, which is kind of the opposite of what I did for the ellipse up here. And now I have to give it a start angle and a length. So I'm going to have it start at 0, and we'll have it go across, say, 270 degrees. So that will span most of the ellipse. We create that. We add it in. And here we go. Now, one of the things about the arc type is that there are different ways to have it complete. So by default, it is just connecting the end of the arc to the beginning of the arc and giving us a region that is the whole thing. If we look in the API, the arc type allows us to set the center value, the radius value, the length, and something called an arc type. And we can go look at the different arc types. There is chord, open, and round. And right now we are getting a chord. You can change the settings to open or round to see different things. So we can take arc.arctype equals arctype dot, as we said, chord is what we have now. And so if we run or is it, it's just called type. And this actually creates a very interesting situation for us. VI recognizes that type is a keyword in Scala. So I can't just say type here. If I try this, we run into problems. You cannot use keywords in any place other than the keyword unless you do something to tell it that you don't want to use this as a keyword. This is the first time we've run across this. There is actually a library in Java that uses the word yield for one of its methods. If you have something that uses yield, well, you might remember the for loop has a yield on it, and that yield is a keyword, so you can't use it for that purpose. So how do we call a method whose name is equal to a keyword? And the answer in Scala is that we put backticks around it. So the backticks on my keyboard are up in the top left corner. Most American keyboards, that's where it is. It is the thing below the tilde, above your tab key. And if you put something inside of backticks, it tells Scala, I really mean this to be this name, not the keyword that this goes by. Okay, so there's the chord drawing. We also had open and round. And we can look at what those look like. Open looks the same as chord for that, for our current settings. And round actually takes and just cuts it out like it's a pie, where you've pulled out parts of it. So you can pick the settings that fit exactly what it is that you want to draw as your arc, but that kind of gives you a feel for what the arc type is like and how you can add that into your graphical application. If you happen to be writing a Pac-Man, arc might be a good way to do it. You just vary the start and length as it moves along.